Good evening. I'd like to call the January 7th, 2019 Davie County Commissioners meeting to order. First meeting in 2019. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year and look forward to great things in 19. This time, if you would join me in the invocation. Dear God, as we come before you this evening, we're so thankful for the many blessings that we enjoy and are afforded us here in Davie County. As we look to 2019, we look to meet the challenges and embrace the opportunities that may become our way. As we look to do the work of the people in Davie County this evening, we ask for your wisdom and guidance. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. Stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, this time entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Have a second. Have a second. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. All right, next we move to public comment period. Mr. Vogler.
And Mr. Chairman, no one has signed up for public comment tonight, so you can waive that.
All right, we will do that. Next, we have a presentation of our last fiscal year audit for 6/30/18, and I'll ask Robin, are you going to introduce Ms. Blue? Okay.
Yes, good evening. Tonight we have Meg Blue, the senior auditor from Martin Starnes. She'll give a brief presentation, and feel free to ask any questions as we go along.
Good evening. I'm Meg Blue from Martin Starnes & Associates, and on behalf of Martin Starnes, we'd just like to thank you for having us as your auditors again this year. I just want to remind everyone that this is the June 30, 2018 presentation and is mainly on the general fund information. A couple of the audit highlights from this year. We issued an unmodified opinion this year on the county's audit. This means that the county has passed the audit. We found no material misstatements in the financials that lead us to believe the financial statements would be misleading to the user. This is the best opinion that we can give. We've also worked with Robin and her staff directly for a few years now, and we really appreciate their attention to our requests and very helpful every time that we are providing information every time that we request it. This is the general fund summary for this year. It shows your revenues and expenses for 2017 and 2018. Revenues were less than expenditures in the current year by $372,786. The top three revenues are comprised of tax revenues, intergovernmental revenues, and charges for services. And the top three functions of government with the most expenditures include public safety, education, and human services. We'll look at these in more detail in the slides to come. Total general fund balance over the last 4 years is shown on this slide from 2015 through 2018. This shows the decrease of $474,743 in the current year. We'll go over the details of that in the next few slides. Fund balance serves as a measure of the county's financial resources. This shows the accounting equation: assets plus your deferred inflows less your liabilities and deferred outflows equal the fund balance or net position. This also details the 5 classifications of fund balance. These changed several years ago, but they've not changed this year, so this shouldn't be anything different than previous years. Available fund balance is the local government commission's calculation that they use to compare you to other units. It takes your total fund balance less your non-spendable, which are items not in cash form, which are not considered available, less the amount restricted for stabilization by state statute. This is restricted by state law and also considered not available. This leaves your available fund balance, which is on the next slide. Total fund balance was $18,346,462, less the non-spendables, which are inventories of $118, less the required restriction for stabilization by state statute, $4,191,870, for an available fund balance of $14,154,474. This is a decrease in available fund balance calculation from prior year of $885,208. This is the fund balance calculation as a percentage of expenditures and transfers out. This is the percentage used to compare you to other units in your peer group. They consider 8% approximately 1 month's worth of expenditures, and based on this calculation, the county has about 3 months worth of fund balance. The top revenue of taxes include ad valorem taxes, local option sales tax, and other taxes and licenses. This shows a $1.1 million increase from the prior year, or 3%. Ad valorem taxes make up about 81% of this revenue group. An increase of $509,000 came from ad valorem tax revenues, and an increase of $586,000 was an increase in local option sales tax distributions from the Department of Revenue. Intergovernmental revenues, these are made up of your restricted and unrestricted intergovernmental revenues. These are revenues from outside sources, other governmental units, typically the federal and state, sometimes local. Federal and state grants make up 77% of this revenue, or $5.2 million, and the majority of the grants in this come from the DHHS and public health grant funding. The decrease mainly is due to the decrease of $717,000 related to child care benefits. Those funds previously flowed through the county. Now they go directly from the state to the participant. That's for all units. Charges for services show a $653,000 increase from prior year, or 22%. The largest revenues in this category are emergency medical services and health fees from clients and third parties. The health fees from clients and third parties increased about $477,000 from prior year. The top 3 expenditures, the number 1 is public safety. This shows a $508,000 increase from prior year, or 3%. This includes the sheriff, the jail, fire, inspections, EMS, and other public safety related departments. The increase in Sheriff's Department emergency medical services are mostly due to increases in salaries and benefits. Education expenditures show a $1.1 million increase from prior year, or 8%. Education includes public schools' current expense and capital outlay, the community college expenditures, and contributions to other agencies related to education. The increase is mainly due to an increase in capital outlay and increase in public schools' current expense. Human services expenditures show a decrease of $472,000 from prior year, or 5%. This includes social services, health department, veterans, and senior center departments. Again, this decrease is due to the child care funding now going directly from the state to the participants, so those expenditures are not shown anymore. Enterprise funds. Here we show the operating revenues, operating expenses, and revenues over and under expenditures for the water and sewer fund and the solid waste fund. This information is based on modified accrual or budgetary basis, which, if you're comparing these to the financial statements, are going to be your schedules in the back. Water and sewer fund shows revenues over expenditures of $1,346,147, and solid waste fund shows revenues under expenditures of $259,658. This shows 2017 and 2018 water and sewer and solid waste cash flows from operations and unrestricted net position. The water and sewer fund shows a decrease in net cash provided by operations and an increase in unrestricted net position. And the solid waste fund shows net cash used by operations expense increase from prior year and unrestricted net position increased slightly as well. One of the major changes from the prior year is the implementation of GASB 75 related to the OPEB liability. It had a significant impact on the net position for governmental activities and business type activities. This is shown on Exhibit A and B in your financials, and it's just a change in the reporting standards for OPEB liability and the way that's classified and presented in the financials. We just wanted to bring that to anyone's attention that may have questions. And if you have questions now, I'll be glad to answer those. If you come up with questions later and would like to let Robin know, she'll be glad to get them to me as well.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Blue? I think you indicated there were no findings.
Correct.
Robin, anything you'd like to add?
A few slides ago, you saw the fund balance percentage. We talk about that a lot. We're still within our policy that I know you all that have been on the board remember setting a few years ago of 25%, so we're still above that. Let me know if, when you review anything further, if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them later.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving along, we get to the consent agenda. Trust everyone's had a chance to look at that. A lot of appointments on there. Mr. Eller, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have several appointments on there, many of which our committees, not only citizens, serve on, but you as commissioners. We appreciate you representing us in many of these various capacities that we need you to. On the consent agenda, you also find a contract with Twin City Sports. You'll see a use and a program agreement. We've been in conversations with them for several months, and through our Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, and also we'll be discussing as we move into the phase one of the new park, executing this agreement and working with the Recs and Park Advisory Committee on that. So after tonight, pending your approval of that contract, I'll be working with Mr. Moore and that committee and all of you regarding next steps regarding turfing the former football field of the soon-to-be new location that will be entering into renovation for the new park. In addition to that, we also have on the agenda tonight several resolutions, one of which is supporting local control of school calendars. That you may recall was a bill recommendation that was passed, that was introduced in 2017 by Representative Howard. It's House Bill 301. This just shows our support for that as that gets reintroduced again. In addition to that, you noted that in December we had a state of emergency due to the snow. To be eligible for state and federal funding, we're rescinding that, as well as issuing the contract to Hall Contracting for the Northeast Davie Sewer Project, and we've talked about that in past updates as well, so we're at that point tonight. And then we also are looking to remain in the opioid settlement at this point. I know last month we talked about the intent to exit the settlement. We've been asked by council to remain in that until we get to the discovery process to determine the benefit to Davie County or not. So we will be remaining in the settlement until then as we begin looking at our Stepping Up initiative going forward. So we'll be working with all of our department heads that are applicable regarding that, but there is no more work that departments have to do at this point by remaining in the settlement, which is what we'd asked for prior to making a decision to exit. So hopefully in a few months we'll know where things stand on that. And lastly, we also have two policies that you're looking at tonight on the consent agenda that were included as attachments. One is an update to the social media policy. The other is an update to the public records request policy. The social media policy is something that we're updating for you tonight because oftentimes we have citizens who will put posts on social media that we never see. And we feel like if a citizen has a question or concern, we're going to create a process for which they can get a direct answer in a more streamlined fashion. And so this policy will allow us to have the citizens to go to a link, if you will, for which they'll input just a few fields of information that will come directly to our office so we can triage and best serve citizens in a way that we think has better customer service. So you'll see that on there. And then the public records request policy is something we needed to update. As we get requests, we often have to forward those through several departments. This is a more streamlined manner for us to do that through our county attorney and through my office so we can coordinate appropriately with the department head and make sure all the federal and state policies and rules are covered as it relates to public records request. So, Mr. Chairman, that's what you have as a few highlights for your consent agenda tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I would just point out that the East Davie sewer contract, excited to report, come in significantly less than what was budgeted. And Johnny Lambert's group did a great job with getting that to a low number, so appreciate all their work and everyone else that's involved with that. So, all right. Rather, no comments or questions. We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve.
Motion, have a second. Second. Ms. Finney, all in favor? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the consent agenda, is adopted. Thank you. All right, moving along to the county manager's report. Mr. Eller.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman. Again, I just want to thank the work that will come based on your approval of consent agenda tonight for the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee as we move forward on Phase 1 of the park. I also want to thank Mr. Moore, Mr. Blackwelder, and Mr. Meanwell for their work and really trying to help us continue to move the needle as we create a park that we hope citizens are very excited about. In addition to that, also want to thank, as you said, Mr. Chairman, our utility staff, as we move forward that Northeast Davie sewer contract to expand capacity for expanded economic development and growth. So we're very excited about that. And also our department heads that are involved in the opioid settlement that we discussed and the work involved there. And then our technology department and legal department for their work on the social media policy and the public comment policy. Just a few things to note tonight. Thank you, Ms. Blue, for coming and talking to us about where we are with our audit. And I want to thank Robin West and Cindy Hendricks and all the department heads for the great work they do every year during the budget process. As we move forward, we are in the season of our budget and strategic planning process, so that's going on very soon with department heads. We'll have our work session with you on the 23rd of this month to go through some policy-related questions so we can then go into the season ready to get you what you need. Also want to point out there's a couple important things going on in our area in the county, one of which is Moxville is going through their comprehensive planning process right now. They have a link on their website for citizens to give feedback to, so we encourage all you to provide feedback to the town on that. Also, our comprehensive land use plan will be hopefully giving an update to you very soon as we're moving into that season of trying to wrap that up here in the next couple of months. We're almost finalized with our interlocals with the towns, and those have gone extremely well, and we appreciate the partnerships of our managers and boards in those towns. We also have next month coming up, probably next month or the month after, one of those 2 months, an important presentation, important discussion about the census. The census is really something that is being attached to many of our federal and state grants and many of our state aid scenarios. We've talked a lot about economic development tiers. Think of the census in this next round as being very much that as well. It's imperative that we have a good turnout for the census in Davie County. So we'll be asking you over the next few weeks to appoint a group of citizens that you feel could help us get the word out about the census. There's going to be some changes to it this year, more online technology instead of the traditional door-to-door methods. But it's important that we get a good turnout for census so we show that participation in the grants that we receive from the federal and state government. So we'll be talking to you a little bit about that. Mr. Meadwell will be as well. So just a preview of what's to come. And then last but not least, I want to just thank John Chandler for all that he's done for the town of Coolmey in his recent retirement. So with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your time.
Any questions for Mr. Eller? Okay, thank you, John. All right, do we have any old business to come before us this evening? Seeing none, do we have any new business to come before us this evening? I don't know if this is new business, but just from a scheduling perspective, 2 weeks from this Wednesday, we are going to have a work session in this room at 8 o'clock. And be some interesting topics discussed, fire protection, capital improvement projects, and just a lot of other subjects that have a lot of needed input on. So if you would like to attend, that would be great. Love to have you. Okay. With that, we do have a closed session on the agenda, and I will read what I'm required to read. At this time, we entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 31811A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body. Would someone like to make that motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we are in closed session. We will be back when we're completed. Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
For third.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Finney. All in favor, raise your hand. We are adjourned. Thank you.